Omid Scooby and Carolyn Durand have released an updated version of your glowing biography, Finding Freedom.
Yes!
And from it, we learned a little more about your self-entitled and petulant outlook, and how you are prioritizing your mental health by distancing yourself from toxicity. And most dauntingly, predicting, and I quote, an era of visibility this autumn with a more intentionally public life. We had no direct influence on the book, right? However, yes, that's completely true.
Like I've said previously, I found more time to concentrate on my mental health by freeing up some of the other time that I wasted being happy.
When you begin living this evidently more visible public life in the deluded spectacle it will undoubtedly be, will you still complain about intrusions into your private lives?
Oh, absolutely.
Will not tolerate, the grubby exposure of our private lives? But isn't that the very essence of your public life? We have a right, to be left alone, to enjoy a normal life, whilst simultaneously reaping the benefits of our fame. But these two intentions seem inconsolable.
I think you're forgetting Markle's paradox.
Ah, yes, of course. The book concludes that despite the toll it's taken on your family, you have no regrets about the actions you've taken. No, of course not. I mean, what did you think I was going to be? An insignificant duchess living in a cottage? I know, a cottage. Never. I mean, that was not going to be my fate. The conclusion also stated was, and I quote, "What began as a fairy tale romance became a story that reinvented the genre. A self-made, independent woman playing an equal role alongside her knight."
My Meghan is so independent-minded. Sometimes we go on a date and I don't even need to be there.
And they were some of our best dates, I mean, we were together in spirit, even though we were apart in physicality. And we feel much closer that way. Together in spirit, apart, closer. Oh, now I get it. Are you ever concerned about being branded a pair of vacuous nobodies, trading on the coinage of notoriety, clipped from clumps of fool's gold?
Ooh, coins clipped from clumps.
That's never even entered my mind, I've been concentrating on mental health projects and clamping down on hate speech and
Commercializing the clothes she wears, then selling them for scandalous amounts on the website.
Oh, no one's suggesting that you don't work very hard at what you do, but more that what you do doesn't work very well.
You've got to be perceptive, Keep your eyes open.
And seeing everything that's going on, not just what you want to see, ignoring obvious truths. And it doesn't bother either of you that many people are laughing at you. There's nobody laughing at us.
Nobody.
Not at all.
None.
You've been criticized, Harry, about taking a private jet home to California after competing in a charity polo match. That is, of course, despite lecturing the world on climate change.
Oh, what difference does one journey make?
But if everybody used that argument, Harry, nothing would change, would it? Besides, the flight came 3 months after your infamous interview with Oprah, where you stated that the climate crisis was one of the most pressing issues facing the world. Oh, it is.
I need to be places, right? And what do you think I'm going to do? Walk?
Okay, but how many passengers could the jet seat?
Oh, only a few.
It was a 20-seater.
Yeah, about 20.
Yeah, but we're not comparing like for like. I mean, don't make Harry get out the apples and oranges again.
We need to be able to fly around the world from city to city.
From glorious destination to glorious destination.
Warning people about the dangers of fossil fuels.
and the immediate threat we will all face if we continue to spew millions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere?
In a giant dust cloud, choking all the caterpillars.
Sacrificing our children's future for short-term conveniences?
And an unlimited supply of M&M peanuts.
And we think we need to spread that message, all around the globe.
All the way from California to like Los Angeles.
And these blazing beacons of bizarre hypocrisy don't bother you because...
Of the Markle
paradox, yes, I remember. But despite that, how do you justify flying a 20-passenger private jet, spilling millions of gallons of CO2 into the atmosphere for a polo match? Do you want to tell him?
No, you tell him. Go on. After you.
It's been discovered, by experts that CO2 can be absorbed by smugness.
So even though we pollute on private jets occasionally, we are smug 24/7, easily achieving net neutrality.
Right. And it's ironic, because mathematically, the smuggest people on the planet are most likely to use a substantial private jet for a solo journey.
The circle of life.
We're going to end today's interview by asking a few questions that have been sent in by our viewers. The first is from Mr. Torpedo, Clarence Torpedo.
Oh, great name.
He wanted to know, Harry, whether you regretted vacating a public position that prevented you from offering personal opinions, now you've found out how difficult they are to defend.
I haven't got any idea what he's on about.
He might be referring to, for instance, calling the First Amendment bonkers. When you say that in the cocky and brash manner that you did, you are, well, sort of obliged to provide a deep explanation for your view.
Oh, no, I didn't have a deep explanation.
Yes, that came across. It's more of an insight.
Yeah, it's more of an insight, actually.
A capacity to latch on, instinctively to the myriad complexity of wokeism, rendering it a clearer crystal and bending the light more accurately.
So it's all clear, illuminated, amazing. It's bonkers.
Your answer to Clarence is that you have an inner orb of crystallized clarity that, in its refraction of the light of everyday existence, creates a more accurate portrayal of reality, excusing you from the usual requirements of evidence and explanation. That's beautifully described, actually. But that inner orb of crystallized clarity, it doesn't exist in Harry.
What? Little old me? Nah.
But in me, me. Harry showed some sensitivity to it, right? Like a recognition of it when he chose me to be his spiritual guide. Mrs. Felina Simile wants to know whether the spark that was there when you first met is still burning as bright. Oh, it's exactly the same for me now as it always was in the beginning. Absolutely. And you, Harry? Harry, is the spark still there for you?
Oh no, even more so.
The next question comes from Mr. Sebastian Faultline. He wants to ask, primarily of you, Meghan, whether the image of your aging father pleading to see his grandchild after recovering from a serious illness evokes any sympathy from you. Sympathy and empathy, they are essential ingredients for a happier society. It's the only way we can improve it. And I am full of both.
Full to the brim.
But he's just one man, Just one individual?
Who's been in the wrong on more than one occasion, thank you.
And he is nothing but a, drain on my abundant supply of compassion and kindness?
Criminal.
Yes, Meghan, but he's still your father. I mean, he's made mistakes, granted, but doesn't he deserve some sympathy and forgiveness? He fathered you, brought you up, paid for your education. Although you deny that, he claims he has documents to prove it. Yeah, I don't really want to get into that, It's private. You seem to be pivoting with a staggering inconsistency on what you declare to be private and what you deem essential to rub in the already tired faces of the public.
2 words. Markle's Law.
Oh, yes. Look, to answer that question honestly, and with the sincerity I'm known for, of course I feel sympathy for my father. But to give to him is to take from the universe, right? And I think we can all agree that the universe needs me now more than ever. And I'm just not that selfish, right? By prioritizing ambiguous global endeavors over localized accountability, you truly are a shining example of wokenomic hypocrisy.
Oh, it all fits in perfectly with the theory of general workativity.
We're going to go to a question now from Oscar Knight. He wants to know if you are happy with the photograph on the Time magazine front cover. Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful. A lot of deep symbology, such as, I'm more to the center than Harry is, and we're completely equal heights, even though Harry's significantly taller than me in reality. Also, I'm in front of Harry, and I think that symbolizes leadership, and that's a real rallying cry for feminism all around the globe.
Oh, I was just happy to play a part, I'm a strong man.
Indeed, although many have asked why you looked like Meghan's hairdresser. Oh, I haven't heard that one. Well, consider this question here from Heather Field, who asks why you, Harry, looked like Meghan's cis-male, genderqueer hairdresser in that profound moment that precedes his declaration that your hair looks divine.
Meghan and I discussed this. She was furious.
No, Harry, I wasn't. I've never heard it before.
Oh no, remember, you went off on one about them missing the feminist symbology?
Like I said just moments ago, I've never even heard the hairdresser comment. Well, Time magazine tweeted that in a world where everyone has an opinion about people they don't know, the Duke and Duchess have compassion for people they don't know. They don't just opine, they run towards the struggle. Well, on that subject, Raymond Richtenberger would like to know, are you embarrassed about the words written in the Time magazine tweet, particularly that they don't just opine, they run towards the struggle?
Embarrassed? What? Did Raymond ask whether we were embarrassed?
No, not at all. I think it's a brave thing to do, right? Run towards the struggle, which Harry and I certainly do.
And it's very difficult.
Well, let's reply to that with another question. This is from Barbara Blister from Bicester. She asks why you have so much compassion for those you don't know, but less for some of the people you do.
Who have we ever injured or insulted?
The royal family, Piers Morgan, multiple newspapers, both of your families, the unvaccinated, anyone who voted for Donald Trump or Brexit, and anyone who falls outside of the guilt-free guidelines of wokologically authorised opinion.
Yeah, the basics.
Yeah, but who else? Penelope Blanchflower wants to know why you both look like computer animations.
Yeah, okay, we had a little bit of digital smoothing, but come on. We're 37, 40. That's a combined age of
There was very minimal editing done on that photo, right? I just think maybe there's a little bit of jealousy around because Harry and I have such enviable complexions. So they always want to imply that it's photoshopped and not, the product of a healthy diet and a clear mind.
That's a combined age of 83.
And continuing on with our questions from viewers, Anne-Marie McMayweather from Windlesham would like to ask, returning to the Time magazine front cover, why you, Harry, agreed to make yourself look so weak, insignificant, and made of plasticine.
What? You mean in comparison to my Meghan and her strength and significance? Big crime.
Yes, but you have to admit, you wore black, sat with one feeble arm resting on her shoulder, with her standing in front of you, and your face photoshopped out of the realm of the animate. I wore white, to stand out, which would be a boost for all the women out there, a strong message.
And I was part of that.
I didn't want women and girls to think of men as their protectors, so I didn't let Harry's left arm or hand come around my waist or my shoulder. I just let him dangle there, like a giant ginger epaulette, which makes him look weak and insignificant in comparison, which is not an attack on Harry. I mean, he's great. But an important redressal of ingrained stereotypes.
I mean, my Meghan is front and center of this movement, She's changed me. Do you know how much time I used to waste being happy before Meghan showed me how to properly concentrate on my mental health?
The difference is stark, Harry.
Laughing, joking, representing the royal family around the world, I was completely unaware of this ugly mental health thingy inside me.
Yeah, I mean, he was oblivious to how he'd been mistreated, and how he was made to play a role that was completely in opposition to his principles.
And we found out, this is amazing, we had virtually the same principles on everything. Amazing, isn't it?
Incredible, Harry. So Harry agreed, as Anne-Marie put it, to look weak and insignificant in that particular photo to help bolster women's causes all around the globe.
Universe, maybe.
Ironically, making him a very strong man.
I'm a strong man.
Well, I'm sure that's what most people thought when they first saw the Time magazine front cover, Harry. But not Ted Turtle from Teddington. He wants to know why you look like a frightened child peeking out whilst clinging to his parents' leg.
Well, there are a couple of massive wasps out there.
Let's get back to answering some questions from our viewers, shall we? Marcus Broughton asks, why do you and all the other 33rd degree members of the Wokerati continue to use the term hate when you actually mean dislike? No, we mean hate.
That question should be a hate crime itself, or at least a non-crime hate incident.
Yes, but how would you reply to Marcus if he said that by replacing the word hate for the more accurate word dislike, it becomes a non-crime dislike incident, making you appear immediately foolish? It shows the power of words and language, right? Usually the same thing, but yes. Yeah, we dislike because it's full of hate, right? I mean, the word dislike implies that the power of definition lives independently in each individual, whereas we know it lives in the mysterious collective that only some of us have communion with, such as yourself, Meghan. It's the only way I'll get work.
Hate is out there, It's completely unamazing. And when it hits you, it makes you want to sob for hours.
You're saying that the word dislike convinces us as individuals that we can escape the oppression of hate by simply refusing to use that term and instead learn to deal with criticism better.
Yeah, but what if you were attacked with a gun?
That's just a crime, Harry. That's been covered by law for years. I think what Harry's trying to say is that passively enacted microaggressions, coupled with online social media abuse, feels like you're being attacked with a gun. And, surely, if you're being attacked with a gun, right, that's a hate crime. But once again, the threadbare analogy of the gun is symptomatic of the overall trend towards victimhood and the expectation that the world should adapt to us rather than we adapt to it.
The cornerstone of good mental health.
Which in itself has been a direct cause of mental health disease. An individual's personal dislike about something can be dealt with, brushed aside. And with it, 99% of the hate existent in the dusty texts of wokological wisdom. White men wag finger.
At finger-wagging wokesters.
Finger wagging stops. Was that a haiku?
Yeah, we've got this new habit of summing things up in haiku.
It's a more spiritual way to communicate.
A spirit disrobed.
By gentle Japanese verse.
Shivering naked.
And another one. I have to admit, they're not bad.
Oh, thanks. You're just as nice as Boris Johnson.
At least, I'd hope. But returning to Marcus's point.
Oh, him again.
The entire edifice of elucidation encapsulated in the emotional evaluation of bothersome behaviour is irreparably eroded if we simply replace the word dislike for the word hate. Yeah, but that would be the incorrect term. It's hate. But, for instance, at the National Television Awards, your interview with Oprah, when put up on the screen, was roundly booed.
Racists.
And this particular audience would usually be considered a stronghold for the lefty gobbledygook you attempt to indoctrinate us with.
I haven't heard gobbledygook for years.
Yet even this audience disliked you. Yeah, but in a hateful way. Some, perhaps. But I think Marcus's point is that although some of the booers might hate you, they all dislike you, making hate the potential and dislike the essential, meaning that the term dislike is a more accurate description of why they booed.
Yeah, but then you can't get anything done. Like you said, if it was called a dislike crime, everyone would just say, hey man, that's life. Get over it.
Exactly. Terminology.
Of lies that never defy.
Markle's paradox. You're pretty good at these. Oh, sorry. That was the video. And if you liked it, press the like button. If you want to share it, press the share button. If you want to be notified to further videos, press the notification bell. And if you subscribe to the channel and the message, then subscribe to the channel and the message by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you. Continuing with questions from our lovely viewers, Mr. Kieran Spatula would like to know, do you still have date nights? No.
Oh, well, we do, but they're spiritual date nights.
Oh, yes, when you chime in a mystic harmony which floats untethered by the requirement of physical interaction.
Sorry, what was that 12th word again?
That's exactly right. Right? Sometimes I actually feel closer to Harry when I'm not with him and I'm with my friends or Hollywood A-listers. Right? Must be pretty highbrow.
Oh, they sound like they really know what they're talking about.
I'm sure, Harry. The next question comes from a Mrs. Phyllis Satchel. She would like to know whether referring to Archie as a boy is indoctrinating him into a gender stereotype.
We wouldn't even care if Archie was a transgender or a pangender or anything.
Oh, no one said you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. Of course. Carry on.
We're going to do everything we possibly can to prevent Archie or Lilibet adopting a gender identity just because of social pressure or social norms.
Oh, yeah, social norms. Yeah, meanies.
Gender is a fluid concept, right? And just because Archie is using male pronouns now doesn't mean he always will. He'll be 6 before you know it. And he might decide he's a she, her.
Sie, sir.
Wie, ver.
Sie, sim.
See, sir. Or he might decide to change back and forth, for all the available options. Many more of which I'm sure will be added in the coming years.
I no doubt there are hundreds, thousands of Swiss sexuals being discriminated against right now, as we speak, by the lack of proper recognition of their identity.
Swiss sexuals?
Oh, it hasn't been invented yet. It's those who are only attracted to people living in Switzerland.
Ah, the LBGT flag. LGBTQ. Oh, sorry. Since when?
Ever since the Queers Revolt of 2015.
That's going to make it a little harder to remember. But that's the point. It's like a psychological reparation for the pain that non-binary people have had to suffer for years.
What, hard to remember? What, a 5-word acronym, a thingy, LGBTQ.
They didn't have anyone celebrating their identity, They didn't feel safe with who they were. I mean, many people didn't even know that they were non-binary until they were told about it when they were impressionable youths and found out how much more important they'd be than by simply remaining a he or a she.
I mean, I still can't get over how people think that LGBTQ is hard to remember. I mean, don't make me break out the LGBTQIP2SAA dog collar Batman symbol.
Can you like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell? And also, click on the links in the description box. Don't disappoint me on this. Clemenza, anyone who doesn't do it, well,
Meghan, you recently wrote to Speaker Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Yeah, sure. I think that parental paid leave is on the cusp of becoming a national reality. It's not about right or left. It's about right or wrong. It's about putting families above politics. Which is more or less word for word what you wrote in the letter, Meghan. And did you write the letter yourself? Yeah. Almost completely all of it.
I chipped in a word or two.
And what do you mean by putting families above politics? Well, what I mean is giving families proper paid leave so they can build relationships with their, potentially non-binary newborns. There's nothing complicated or confusing about it. Okay, and who would pay the wages of the parents who are on leave? Either the employer or the government, There's plenty of money out there that can be found for non-essential indulgences, but we can't find it for families? Oh, no, I'm not arguing against your policy positions at all, Meghan. I'm as communist as they come. What I'm wondering is, how are we going to put families above politics by introducing sweeping legislation? I'm not sure what you mean. Well, you're calling for the government to either supply or to force businesses to supply paid leave to all its employees, both of which are nakedly political.
This is politics for families rather than politics for politics' sake.
Very good, Harry. Well done. Yes, well, Carolyn Prendergast asks, are you not concerned that with every new right afforded to every citizen? Let me just stop you there, because I believe paid leave should be available to all undocumented citizens too. It will eventually bankrupt the nation. So what, are we to dispense with rights now? Well, Carolyn might say that a right is something that no one else has to give you. Freedom of speech, association, freedom of protest, for instance. I mean, you could theoretically and conceivably have those rights anywhere on earth, unless they're taken away.
About time.
Whereas you can't have a right to access a mutual fund that doesn't exist. I mean, paid parental leave for all would be a government intervention to which you would or wouldn't have access to, not a fundamental right, Carolyn might say. Yeah, but you'd have a fundamental right to use it. I really don't see the difference. In the letter, Meghan, you said that many of our economic systems are past their expiration date. And, as you well know, too many Americans are forced to shortchange themselves when it comes to what matters to them.
Oh, that's one of my favourite parts of the letter, actually. It's amazing.
The economic systems that made people rich in the past, right? That are actually preventing people becoming rich now.
They gotta go.
Would these be the same economic systems that have sustained royal wealth and allowed you to make a 9-figure sum for your work on Netflix and Spotify? Yeah, but we want to make sure that we're one of the last ones.
Yeah, you've got to close the door at some point.
Look, after you've gone onto the website and the Patreon page, go, subscribe, like, share, notification bell. Mr. Malcolm Ecstasy asks of you, Meghan, whether in hindsight it was classless, self-absorbed and downright unfair to subject the children in a Harlem school to your book, The Bench, whilst visiting.
Unfair? Subjecting? Oh, hey kid, want a sweet? Oh, that's harsh. Hey kid, want to go to the fun fair? Oh, how cruel. Hey kid, want to hear some spellbinding children's literature? It's hardly Oliver Twist.
No, I really haven't had anyone to read it to. And then this thought just came to me. Why not read it to the kids at the school that we're going to visit in Harlem? Mr. Ecstasy is probably being a tad curt in his manner with that question, although The Bench was poorly reviewed throughout the whole of the media. But surely you would accept that it does come across as rather conceited and full of oneself to go there and actually read your own book.
Oh yeah, perhaps you should have read one of the classics. Or even better, one by an extremely talented but underprivileged child's writer. I love your book. I love the book. How many times have I got to say? I love The Bench.
We all do, Harry. But Mr. Jeremy Weathervane wants to ask about the faux American accent you used when talking to crowds in New York City.
I don't even know what y'all talking about.
What exactly does Mr. Weathervane want to ask about Harry's accentuation shift?
Is that a thing?
Yes, Harry. He asks more precisely whether you have any idea how ridiculous it comes across to 90% of us watching.
Yeah, but it's in the 10% where the power lies.
No, Harry, you're getting it all wrong. What you gotta remember is, what you gotta accept is that Harry was very spiritually damaged by his previous life, but before he met me.
GSH, grievous spiritual harm.
Yeah, sometimes Harry tries a little bit too hard to fit in, so that he might end up, copying people's accents or, allowing people close to him to completely control his life. And all of his susceptibilities come about through neurological damage caused by his obstructed expression whilst he was caged in his previous royal life, in the royal household. Arthur Sightful asks why you, Meghan, have a tendency to overspeak but undersay.
Yeah, which gives us the benefit of a glorious melody for every truth.
When I speak, it kind of unfolds, right? With lots of purposeful pauses and terms like, and right, which kind of pads things out while I'm waiting for the next, moment, to hit me, and for the words to come, and for the sentence to continue. Oh, it really is something to behold, Meghan. So your answer to Mr. Sightful's question is because you don't really know what you're going to say, and you just speak whatever pops into your head.
Bingo.
But that's only when I'm answering a question whilst unprepared, If I know what the question is going to be, I follow the script perfectly, Oh God, yeah, everything I say is perfectly scripted.
Like a glove.
And even when it is scripted, I don't want to state anything that can be pushed back against too hard. So, even when it is scripted, those statements usually say very little, right? Right. So whether scripted or off the cuff, they are, more often than not, purposefully ambiguous. Right, absolutely. And if I want to make a real difference, I'll write to important people directly so that the common people themselves can't get in the way of me trying to improve their lives. Even if it's against their will? Oh, yeah. Classy. 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 Oh, how classy. Classy. Oh, classy, classy. 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 Right. Carrying on with our questions from audience members tuning in at home, Mrs. Dolly D. Dollops would like to know, was it wise to wear a $7,000 outfit to a school for underprivileged kids when you were visiting New York City? I don't really understand the question. Oh, it seems quite simple. Does wearing such expensive attire to a school for underprivileged children strike a jarring note? What difference does it make what clothes I wear?
Oh, what does Dolly expect? For my Meghan to dress like a tramp? Like one of those people that our security guards so effectively keep away from our delicate sense of smell?
Well, no, but what I think she's trying to say is...
I really don't get this. What does Dolly expect? My Meghan to wear normal clothes and sell off all of her expensive outfits, donating the proceeds to the school? Or something?
No, I don't think that suggestion is implicit in that question at all. However, many observers might say that to do that would be, more consistent with your endlessly repetitive protests at inequality. That would seem virtuous were they not so, saccharine. Yeah, I think that would be taking the easy way out, It's not really for individuals like us to be giving our personal money, And we really haven't got that much. Nowhere near as much as we'd like. Our position can be used more effectively by bringing attention to issues and, demanding that world governments get together to find unilateral, solutions to the problems faced by those who are disadvantaged, in some way.
Look, we bring the attention, then a couple of champagne-swilling galas later, and a charity is formed, run by experts who are really smart people, and we know how smart they are because of how much they get paid, often for doing very little, actually. It's amazing.
And real change can be made when governments start to subsidize and donate to these organizations, and, millions of pounds of taxpayers' money can finally be utilized, to fix the problem properly.
Look, it all started by us going there, and seeing these poor people, and interacting the best we can, It doesn't matter that things never get any better for them, no matter how much money's put in, and conceivably sometimes even worse.
That just shows you how deep the problem is. We've only scratched the surface of the issues that we're trying to address. We've disturbed the rupture and the pain started pouring out. But before, we weren't even acknowledging it.
Oh, no, I can't hear you. No.
Succinctly put, Harry. Look, we think it's better to suffer now and actually deal with the problems rather than just pretending everything's okay.
Sometimes you're better off just squeezing the pimple.
It's the way we can bring about a better world, right? It looks a bit silly when only one of us does it, Harry. What, you're ignoring me now?
No, not.
That was a video. If you want to see any more of this mad lot, it might be worth hitting the notification bell and subscribing, liking and sharing the channel. Thanks.